In the previous episode, Sheila Johnson, Governor of Superior and CEO of Johnson Aggregates, reached out to the CEOs of both the Sterling Development Company and the Lewis Lumber Company with the idea of forming a partnership to bring professional soccer to Verde Beach. The CEOs requested funding from the city for infrastructure and for the facility itself, and received a commitment for 100% of the funding for the infrastructure and 50% of the cost of the stadium. In the previous episode, we built most of the infrastructure in the area, and in today's episode, we're going to build the stadium and the entertainment district around it. We'll also build a train connection so that all of Verde Beach can access the stadium. But before we jump in, if you could hit the like button and subscribe if you aren't subscribed to the channel, I'd really appreciate it. And if you could, drop a comment. And if you don't have anything to say, show me your favorite emoji. The engagement helps increase the reach of the video and shows the almighty algorithm that you like it. Without any further ado, let's jump right in. Hello, welcome back to City Planner Plays, where we are building the city of Verde Beach. And like I said, in today's episode, we're going to be building the stadium district here. And I'm really excited about it because I think it's going to really transform this area and spur development. And we really don't have anything like it in the city. We do have athletic facilities, but they're just not the same. So I want to start out by just eliminating the trees through here. It's going to make it a little bit easier for us to see what we're doing. And by the end of this, we're going to replant everything. Anyway, so now I want to upgrade this road. This is going to be really important because I've been caught up sometimes where I don't upgrade a road, and for whatever reason, you can't place your facility, or you can place your facility on the dirt road, but you can't upgrade it, rather. So I don't want to be caught in that situation, so we're going to upgrade the road. Now, let's go into our unique buildings, and we're going to use our match day stadium. So that's under football, and we have our football stadium. So this is one of the larger stadiums, and just to give an example. So here's how big this is. It goes back a long ways. If we were to go with this, kind of looks like an American football stadium. The size is just not even comparable. So very, very large, but that's one of the reasons why I like it so much. So we're gonna place this right up front, and I'm placing this off to the side for two reasons. On the left, we're gonna have parking right here. Then we're gonna have an extended lot, which is something that you sometimes see at a stadium. You'd see a cheap lot where people could tailgate and then, take some sort of pedestrian bridge to get across to the main lot. It's considerably cheaper, still very expensive, but it's something that you would see. And then behind it, I want to have a train station. Now, the train station is the primary reason why we elevated our rail. And I don't think I really articulated that well in the last one. So I thought that would be a very good place to start with this one. All right, we're gonna place this here. And I'm not 100% settled on this being the final location. In fact, we're gonna dry fit in our train infrastructure first, just to make sure. The other thing, I got this road a little close. I don't know that I love that. So a couple of things. So we're gonna have our parking lot here. So I think that's probably good enough for our parking lot. Well, I need to fix that. I'm gonna move this stadium over just a little bit. And that's for landscaping purposes. And then I want to see if I could fit in the train station. So let's grab that. I want to go with our new one. The main reason is this is going to be elevated, which is going to make it a lot easier to connect up with this rail. And it will work. So the idea here is to put this train station here and then run this underneath along the side of this. And then eventually as we get these to be a little bit closer in line for height, we join up, and this will be a one-seat ride all the way to downtown Verde Beach. So that's the idea. We're gonna see if it's gonna work. All right, well, let's do the American thing. And we're gonna add in a bunch of parking. I know that this really irks some of you, and I apologize, but in my mind, it's pretty realistic. So we're gonna go with it. I'm gonna back this out just a little ways. Okay, I desperately wanted to be able to fit in this extra parking lot back here so we can get a little bit of a bigger parking field. So it took a bit of work, lots of finagling and finessing around with this, but it worked in the long run. So sometimes you've got to play around to make things work, particularly in vanilla. That was kind of a hacky way of figuring it out, but I came over here, went over my 10 units up. I couldn't, for whatever reason, come from this side, but I could come up. So just something to be aware of. Now, for this, I could go straight in like this. I'm not sure that that's the greatest junction, but we might go with it. Well, no, we're going to fix it. Okay, so made this a 45-degree angle, and now I can fit all my parking back here nicely. We have a nice 90-degree angle here at the junction. I think it's just a nicer setup. You know, I'm getting really picky with this, but I really want to make sure that this looks good, and I think that this is how you do it. Now, here's going to be a trickier spot. So I had to move this connection to make our train station work, and now you can see the problem that I've created for myself. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to delete that, send this down, and then I'm going to flare this out. So I'm going to get rid of the grid. I'll leave road length on, and then I'm going to turn this. Now we can turn our road guidelines back on with our curved road tool, find that guideline and curve in. Leaves us with a little bit of a weird spot, but we can landscape in there and make that look really nice. So not overly concerned about that. Now here on the side of the stadium, this is something I am going to be more concerned about. So let's turn all of our snap tubes back on, and I want to make sure that we have that 1 unit gap. But the funny thing is, it looks like this asset's just a little bit more. It's not exactly fitting exactly how I'd like it to. So it's a little bit more than a unit over here. So it's not perfectly centered, but I think we just need to not let perfect be the enemy of good here. This is pretty good. And now you'll notice that I'm using this new 2-lane road with wide sidewalks. The main reason I'm doing that is I want there to be functional parking here. We are using our custom parking asset that we made in the asset editor. And the only way that we're going to get that to work is by not having street parking. So we're being very deliberate. And this very well could change. I could foresee a world where this is a bike facility. The main reason for that is we've got this lovely bike path right there. And if we could get beyond all these train tracks and power lines, maybe we make a nice connection and have a nice bike facility right there. We'll have to see. Okay, so the next thing that I'm thinking about is right along here. So this is going to be an entertainment district. So I want this to be a pedestrian area, which I think will be really fitting. But before we get to that, I want to add in some water pipes right underneath the road, right where they belong, so we can maybe get our stadium working and see what this little part of the world's going to look like. That's a pretty nasty connection, but we're going to go with it. So there's going to be a lot of weird power line stuff that I have to do right now. We're going to make temporary power lines and delete them. So any power lines you see right now, don't get too attached to them because they're probably going to leave. So we are just doing some things right now. And this is actually a pretty ugly connection. I might do something to try to improve this down the line. I got to do it now. It's kind of angling in. It's weird, and I don't like it. So I turned on just angle here, and now we have a nice 90-ish. Looks a lot better. And I'm going to convert this to also, as much as I love the European stone bridge being used as a street and looking very regal, in my opinion, that has parking. So again, we don't want any street parking through here. That would be a bad thing. So, okay, now looking at this, we can see that it's working, and wow, this thing's expensive. I really hope that we make some money. In fact, 35 cells, that's really cheap. This must be pre-inflation. This must be anything. I mean, maybe ticket prices were cheap when the game came out, or maybe soccer, football is just cheaper than other sports. But normally in a new stadium, when you come to something like this, wow, there is sticker shock every single time I go to a sporting event or a concert for that matter. Just very, very expensive. All right, so now we are going to run a road back here. This is going to be converted to a pedestrian road, but I want to think a little bit about the layout of this area. So I don't want to focus anything on this, and I want this to be part of like kind of a fan experience. So as a result, we're going to put fences around here to really focus everything internal. We want it to be a place where you can go grab a bite to eat, go to a bar, something of that nature. And because of that, even though this is going to be a pedestrianized area, we are going to be using a lot of the leisure assets that came with After Dark. So through here, as I lay this out, I come up that distance, and I'm going that distance because I think I can fill in nice blocks here. And that's all I'm really thinking about. Okay, and now we're going to form our pedestrian district. Now, because the pedestrian district is super expensive, let's get rid of anything where there wouldn't actually be pedestrian activity occurring. And we don't want to overdo it. Now we're going to go in and formalize this pedestrian district. We're going to go and grab and create our service point. So we've got to have a small service point, maybe even a medium, a large rather. So taking a look at this, it costs about 3 times as much in weekly upkeep and in just general cost of the facility itself. But for cargo, we're getting 5 trucks a week here and 3 for garbage. You get 15 and 10. So there is a benefit. I think we're going to go with a large one. No, we'll start small. And if this fails or we need more of anything, the problem is we're just really space limited here. So if we wanted to add another, maybe we could add another. I think cargo is going to be the problem here. So I guess we could add another cargo service point if we wanted to. All right, so now I'm going to go through and I want to add some fences again to change the directionality of everything happening through here. And maybe here we can leave it. Although, yeah, it's one of those things where I want it to feel very internal. So we will leave this one. Now let's, before we start our zoning, remember we can zone these pedestrian districts, or we can apply policies, specializations. So we're gonna go through and apply our leisure specialization here. And it's funny because we have this district over it, it's gonna give me some guff. I don't wanna do that. So let's shrink up our normal district, not to cover this pedestrian district. And it's funny. I could see us building a hotel as well. So maybe we will use our districts to create this. So we'll have a hotel right here. It's not ideal, but it's as far from the stadium as we can get. You know, the view is going to be pretty bad. It's going to have some vibration potentially from the train, but it's probably better than anything else that we could do. Here we will have 100% entertainment. So leisure here, and we will have some tourism here, so we get some hotels. And now we can zone this out. So I am going to be a little bit thoughtful about this though. I don't want to have to delete a bunch of stuff to actually make this fill in. And I know that we are going to want some plazas. So we're going to start there. We'll look at our plazas and our parks and give this area some thought. Let's get rid of this fence because we could put a nice gateway in here. So something like our glass roof plaza. And then something to flank the other end as well. Although I kind of like the idea of putting this in the center there. We're going to get rid of this. And now maybe that's all that we need, truthfully. We don't need to go hog wild on these. Right there, I'll put one more. Now let's convert these over. And in the comments, let me know what kind of pedestrian road you think is the most appropriate for this one. I think for the time being, we are going to go with this lovely sandstone. But if you guys have any strong feelings about it, this could change. And we will go with the wider sandstone street for this end. And then let's go ahead and narrow it up. We'll have some trees down here. Oh, that just looks really bad. That's not what I wanted. That is not what I wanted. All right, well, let's try this. I'm gonna get rid of that and let's see if we can go just a couple of units in, maybe 2, and then we'll convert it. That doesn't look bad. It doesn't look bad. I can deal with that a little bit more. Yeah, we'll do that. So I like the idea of this because then it's like a grand plaza into this entertainment district. Look at this massive hotel that has sprung up here. And now you could go bar hopping or restaurant hopping. Now, one of the things that we're going to need to be cognizant of here is that as we look through here, there's going to be a whole bunch of parking lot stuff that springs up. I'm not into that. So we're going to need to make some modifications there. I also want to think about the other connections that we have back here, because to me, this is a perfectly rational connection. I suppose we could try to make a connection back here with our pedestrian road. Maybe that's the most logical thing to do. It probably is. Yeah, we'll just do that. And even over here, we could do the same thing. Yeah, I don't love that. So the thing I don't love about this is that I want this to be a gateway. Now, from a safety perspective, not cul-de-sacing this, although we do have the connection over here as well. Yeah, we want this to feel like it's a special way in. So we'll maybe add this so we could have a couple more shops at the end of here and some landscaping and some fencing along here. There we go. Let's take a look at this and see what's springing up. And this is the exact sort of thing I wanted to see here. No parking, beautiful, some seating. Right here, maybe not so good. Maybe not so good. So we're gonna play some whack-a-mole a bit, and we will also play the game where when we see something that we like, we make it historical. So let's do that right now. I'll get a good vantage point, and we're gonna completely whack-a-mole this whole place. Some stuff maybe we can let this slide. Little tiny parking is fine. And I probably better put some water pipes underneath the road, otherwise we're gonna have lots of problems. So we're gonna place those right now. All right, and this is starting to fill in nicely. And you see that this would be an exciting place to go. You come through here and there you go. That is awesome. I wanna protect people here. The last thing you'd want would be someone from this district coming over and running into the highway. So we're gonna go ahead and try to we're going to use our zoo fence so that you're not seeing the cars pass by. Now, I do think that if we were to fence in other areas, maybe we wouldn't want to do that. So if you were coming down, it's actually kind of blocked anyway. I was going to say it would be helpful to be able to see that there's parking availability or not as you're coming around, but you're kind of blocked anyway. So maybe it doesn't really matter. Let's just think about the pedestrian experience a little bit more than anything else. So we're going to turn everything off except for our road guidelines. And now I'm going to use the snap tubes that the game provides me to lay out our fences. And you see that you can get a really nice connection if you find a couple of points. And then we could turn angle on as well, so we keep this straight. We line this up well. I'm gonna slow down our simulation speed because that can really cause some problems. And then we'll send this over here as well. And I very well may begin to add more sound barriers here. I know that that's a comment that's been asked. Why don't I add more sound barriers? And reasonably, it's because in my experience, it is very difficult to get a Department of Transportation to actually agree to them. They are very reluctant to do that, quite unfortunately, in my opinion, mostly because of the expense and the sometimes modest return on their investment in terms of people being upset about a highway. they're still upset about the highway. So if it's going to cost them a whole bunch and they're not going to see the benefit there, and it costs a bunch of maintenance, they don't want to do it. So it's a very difficult proposition to get them to do. All right, so this is interesting. You come here and what do you want to do? You go to a bookstore. Apparently, maybe we think of that as like a team merchandise store. I know that for the UW campus, that's what we have. It's a bookstore, but it also sells memorabilia and things of that nature. Now, this is what I was worried about. We have high cargo traffic. We already have 5 of 5 vehicles in use. So we've got two options here. And I think we're going to hold off because we're going to be building a train connection through here. And I'm concerned that our cargo service points could conflict with our train connection. So why don't we just move along to that? And look at this. We've already got our parking lot filling up. It's a thing. I was going to say that's what we want, but do we really want that? I don't know, but that's what we're getting. So now through here, we're going to start laying out our tracks. This is going to be a trick, and you can already see some concerns that we're going to have. We need to get this on the other side of this elevated track, which means that we've got to do some deletion of the tracks I just put down. So a little bit of a mulligan, but it is a necessary one if we're going to complete this project. And we immediately have to go up. So for this, I want to line this up here. We're going to go up one more. There we go. And now we need to find a way to make this connection. So we're going to turn on angle and nothing else. And the reason why we're doing that is it gives us the opportunity to go whatever length we want, which allows us to put our pillars wherever it suits us, which in our case will be right about there. Only problem is we didn't draw up our height at all. And now we're going to see if we can make this connection. Oh, and this is the height of realism as we delete this. It looks like some of our pillars over here, though, are a little bit closer than they should be. So hopefully that's the location. Yeah, there we go. So now we can actually have a nice connection. Drops down quickly there, and it's looking so good. All right, so now we need to have this join up. So we've got this nicely aligned here. We're going to raise this up. And we'll do the exact same thing here. I'd love to connect here, but it's just not the right location just yet. We're going to turn our road guidelines back on. And then I want to get over this. And now I think we're finally in the right spot to join these. There we go. Oh, yeah. That is looking awful good. Awful good. So that, oh boy, that sometimes you do something and you think it's going to work, but then it works way better than you ever imagined, even if it's your second time doing it. So I'm digging it. Now let's get our train there. So this, if we take a look, this now is this blue line. The blue line goes through this park, drops underneath, goes right here past the Lewis Garden City, continues past the university here, goes through Fitty's district, and then to Central Station. And look at how convenient this is. We've got an empty track here. We've got an empty platform. So we're going to add it there and then lose the stadium. We'll connect our line. Now, with this, let's go into here, into our transport menu, and name this stadium line. Now, I want to convert this to be a high-speed train. Now, there's a few reasons for this. Some of it is your comments. There were a number of comments saying, this is fine, but how great would this look as a high-speed rail? And it's funny. I went through and I took a look, and I actually converted most of the track over here to be high-speed rail already. Most of the passenger rail. So if we come through here, and again, even though it's showing it as a bridge, a viaduct, if we go through, look at this, I can't convert it. I can't upgrade it. And it's not because I'm trying to make a bridge. It's because I've already made it a high-speed rail through here. And then I went back to a normal rail. So we're just going to convert this over. And you can even see that train's going to go faster. The speed limit on these tracks is higher. So this, it doesn't, at 220 kilometers per hour, 136 miles per hour, versus these, which I can't tell in vanilla how fast they are. So they're slower. We know that it's slower. So we lose our trusses and we make the trains do some wild stuff. But it's going to mean that this trip to downtown Verde Beach is very, very fast. And that's going to be pretty cool. Now, this is going to be unfortunate. We're going to break part of Myrtle Park again. So we'll need to upgrade that. And then over here, we cannot upgrade this. So with this asset, there is no underground tunnel. Watch this. Yeah, which is kind of funny. I guess I would have assumed that was there, but it's not. So not a big deal. It just means that we have to go with our old tunnel. So it will slow down underground, no high-speed rail underground. Let's make this connection here. There we go. And while we're over here, probably the number one comment from the last video was that this right here is really terrifying. And, you know, there's some things that you don't see until someone points it out. This is one of those for me. I should have noticed this, but we have an open train track with a park next to it. That is absolutely horrifying. So we will absolutely go ahead and add that fence right there. We'll do the exact same thing on this other side. We don't need to wrap it. I know that might make it feel a little bit more complete to some folks, but here's the thing. It's going to conflict right here. It won't allow me to close this. So if that's the case, there's not really a point in me actually trying to close it. It's just going to make it more challenging and make it look less natural. This at least looks a little bit more natural. Maybe we shouldn't go with something that high. Like I mentioned, I used to watch trains as a kid. All we really wanted to protect the kids. We don't want to make it so that they never see a train. So I think that this is a way to solve that. Now you can see it, but you can't walk in the tracks. And now little Timmy and Jane here are safe. And look at who is at the park just being a creep. Philip with 2 L's. Great. What are you doing there? Okay. So he's visiting the park. Yeah, terrible. He's at the climbing frame as a tourist. I don't like that, Philip. I don't like that. We're going to leave. All right. So now we're over here and wow, this is feeling Myrtle Heights and Hamilton Square. I kind of like it. If you have some names for this, the sports complex, the Myrtle Heights district, the pedestrian area, Hamilton Square, any of it, let me know in the comments. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you have to say. So we've got this running, got 17 passengers. That's something. That's something. And we're struggling here already because there's not enough goods to sell. So now that we have our track in here, oh, we actually don't. I didn't convert all of it. We've got to fix this. That's gonna trigger everyone, including myself. Oh no. We're gonna do that, huh? All right, well, let's see if we can get the rest of this upgraded. Oh, we're gonna do that twice. Okay, this one was pretty easy to fix. It's a little bit ugly, a little bit lumpy, a little bit bumpy, but I think that we are going to, no, we can't get away with that. That looks terrible. All right, we're gonna try again. Okay, and this is one of those situations where I think going through and making that adjustment was absolutely the right choice. Now this one is going to be that guy, I'm guessing. So we're gonna try. We're gonna try it. So we'll just use our freeform tool with our angle and our road guidelines on, and yeah, look at that. Just doesn't want to be helpful. I guess we have to go a little bit further in, which destroys the way our bridge looks. That is really frustrating. There's a bump there, and we can't live with that. We just cannot. So we'll try to fix it. Really? Really? What is going on? I don't understand. Slope too steep. You figure. You figure. Okay, that was frustrating and silly, but I think we've got it working, so it's looking a lot more acceptable. All right, so now we need to get some more goods here, although now it's funny, our cargo capacity used is not a problem, so not sure what the deal is there. Now we have an opportunity to bring in another asset into this area, and that's what we're up to. We're bringing in some of our unique assets. We're finally getting serious about this. So there's one I have in mind. The one that I'm looking for is our Meteor Park. Oh, and I was really hoping I could fit this in there. We're going to make it happen. We're going to make it work. So we'll eliminate that road and let's get this to fit in here. And I want this to be a bit of a mascot for this area. So we will send this on down. And we'll use our curved road tool to find this angle, make a lovely connection in. Ultimately, this is going to be a challenging spot regardless in terms of our traffic flow. Having a bit of a longer distance between here might not be the worst thing, considering, you know, I know it appears that this is close right here, but this is a connection to the bridge. So really, if you're going to queue, you're queuing all the way back to here. Here, our queuing distance is not quite so long. So we'll do more with this in just a minute. What I want to do now is think about our additional parking lot back here. So we're going to pull that back here. And there, I want to reuse that same connection. So let's add in our parking asset. So we will pop back in and use our custom parking asset and just spam this whole area. Okay, and we even let it go back a little bit further. Now I'm okay with the little bit of a gap here because we're going to use this to build a ramp across this road right here. The other thing that we're going to need to consider is that people are going to need to be able to cross through here. So we are going to upgrade portions of this road so we get crosswalks. Something like that will do us just fine. The other thing, I want to discourage people from walking along this road. That is going to create traffic problems right here. So I'm going to do something that's pretty fishy. We're going to upgrade this right here to be a highway and upgrade that to be a highway as well. It's ridiculous, but we're going to do it because we don't want to have pedestrian facilities. And that's just about the only way that I can get rid of them. We're also going to add stop signs here to prioritize this movement through here. This could be signalized. In reality, it probably would be. And down at City Hall, there's an event. The traffic engineers would sit there and control the traffic flow through the area. Okay, so now that we've got our parking, I want to fix some of the lumpies and bumpies. And if I can't get them fixed, we're going to remove some parking, which, you know, yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to fix some of these, but we'll give it a shot. That one in particular is probably not going to happen. All right, we'll come through here and try to level it out. And some of these, yeah, and none of those really worked. So we're just going to scoot these over too. And I've actually got to downgrade this road so that, oh, and it's just broken now. So I had to bring the old road back so that my grid is perfect. And now that fits well. So the same thing over here. I think we're going to scoot this over just a little bit. My main motivation there is not having any lumpies or bumpies. Oh, that's not good. We're going to eliminate that. It's weird. Maybe I should have more parking assets. Maybe we'll just live with a bit of imperfection. So now I want to send over, we're going to send a pedestrian facility right over the top. So at this point, I just care about grid. And I'm hoping I can get across with just 2. And we can. And it's interesting. We actually, with the grid, for whatever reason, I didn't get high enough on the other side, so we got to try again. So normally, guys, you know me, and I would not go for a long pedestrian bridge, anything unreasonable and unrealistic. That said, as I think about it, we are going to want to try to take this bridge and make it accessible. So I'm making it longer so we can have a more gentle decline. And that is much better. So here we are going to eliminate this and give it one more shot. And then through here, I'm going to try to spiral down. This is difficult in vanilla. Yeah, that looks pretty bad. So let's give that another go. So we'll try this. We'll try to be measured about this. We'll go up here 2, and we'll curve over 2, bring it up 1, and then do the exact same thing over here. 2. Actually, here we'll go up maybe 1. Okay, so basically that is really steep, but I think in vanilla that is about as good as we can get it. I've gone 1 unit over and tried to make this work. It is really tricky to get these ramps to actually work. And now it's telling me that the space is already occupied. I think that is how I'm able to get it to work. That's really a tricky spot. And I'm going to delete this segment because I want this to curve a little bit more. We're getting really finicky about this, but you got to remember this is our showpiece. So we want this to look as absolutely wonderful as it could. So now here I'm going to turn angle and my guidelines on again, find this road guideline, and then have it curve nicely over. So it's vanilla. That height is crazy. I think that this could be lower and this circle could be bigger, but I don't know that I can make it look much better in vanilla. Why don't I give it... I shouldn't do it. I shouldn't let perfect be the enemy of good, but I want to. Maybe the one compromise that I can make would be to come through here and try to lower this. There, it's a little bit better. I went through and just tried to really control my lengths and angles. It's not perfect, but it's vanilla and you're not going to make it perfect, but we can hide that behind some landscaping and make it look a lot better. So that's what we're going to do. So now everyone that's parking here is going to be forced to use this path to get over here. So I'm excited to see that. So let's pop on through here. Check this out. We got a person using it. It's this person, Ashton Chapman. Thank you so much, Ashton, for using our path. We appreciate it. And the nice thing about converting this to a highway is it does provide that connection here. I wish it was a little bit better, like right in front of this, but that is going a bit too far. So we're not going to do that. Actually, but is it? But is it? So we will turn on our grid here. Well, that was pretty easy actually. So maybe it was the right call and we can come through here and even make our parking spots exactly what we want, because now we have our angle, we have our grid on, and let's have a crossing. If we turn off grid and only have on our angle, we'll go right to here, then we'll switch to another roadway type, and we'll go to about here, and then we'll switch back to our old roadway type. Oh, look at that. That is what you got to do. So if you do that, then you can add your crossings where you want. Yeah, I really think that that's good. So there we go in that location. Now I want to add a key wall. So this whole area feels very unfinished because of the key wall. Look at that historical building abandons. So let's add our key wall through here because I think it's going to be a really big help making this look finished. So I want to go with some of our nicer key walls and add in the ability to step down to the water and get some good vantage points of what used to be a pretty awful district. Now there's still some industrial there, but it's much more pleasant looking. And this could be the catalytic development that changes what's happening over in the I-10 industrial park. So what we're going to do is grab some of these with the steps down, and I'm going to turn everything on, all of our snap twos. We're going to find a nice flat segment and go along here and use our snap twos to line this up. I want to leave enough space that we can landscape in between here. And we need to leave enough space that we can make some connections. And then from there, we're going to curve this around. And I think we can end this one kind of at the bridge. We could honestly probably end this sooner. Maybe we will just right there. That's probably fine. Now on this end, we'll go straight that bit longer. Then we'll curve. And that's probably just fine there as well. So now there's some weird oddity stuff happening here, and that's all too much soil. So let's go through here and modify this just a bit. And by just a bit, I mean we've had a lot of soil to move. So let's get to it. I think we don't need to go all the way down to the seafloor, but maybe this contour here. And then up here, we're gonna be really thoughtful about this. Raise this up. And I'm just gonna pull this out along the top so that it feels like the wall is going into the ground. There we go. And now we can convert some of this. So there are these wider walls. I think those would be nice to have here. Got all the steps down. We don't need it to be 100% steps. So we'll go and we'll convert every few of these. Yeah, I like that. That looks nice. So there's a few ways to get down. It would be nice if this were centered on the stadium. Oh boy. Oh boy. Let's see if we can do that. That is pretty close. I don't know that I use the same guide on both sides. So if we take a look, I was trying to line it up and find a common point in between both of these. Now I didn't do a good job of it. We're going to try it again. So what we'll do is just grab this and I'm going to line it up right here with the edge of that parking lot. I'll do it on this side, and over here I'll try to do the exact same thing. And then we can grab our steps. And there we go. Look at that. Don't look too closely. It's about as good as I'm going to be able to get it, most likely. You know, maybe on these edges, we could pull this in, and that might be another way to make it look a little less, I guess, intrusive. It's funny. There's no protection. So if you were on here, you kind of just fall into the river. I never noticed that. It seems a little bit odd. I'm not sure that this is the one I want to go with. Yeah, and I'm thinking maybe this is the right approach. We'll just go with this. And when we look across the water anyway, what do we have over here? Same one. Over here, it's the same design. So yeah, that was the right choice to convert this. It just never feels good to admit defeat. That's what I just did. But that's looking very good. So now we need some pedestrian connections. Otherwise, no one will be able to use this. So we're going to turn off everything and just make a couple of these connections. Oh yeah, feeling great about that. And that is kind of what we were looking for. Let's make sure that we've got water pipes everywhere. We do. Our power, I think we could modify this a bit. The one thing that we haven't brought through just yet is our bike facilities. So this is going to be a bit of a trick. So the idea that I'm thinking of at this point is we will come up, and boy, so I would like to have a crossing here. Ideally, I think that, I think we might have folks walk here. So they'll cross on this side. They'll have to mix with traffic here. We could send them down here. That's the other thing, but they have to cross the street. For the time being, I think I'm going to convert it here, and then we're going to make this a bike facility, and eventually that'll lead into this community over here. Very challenging. And the only thing that we can do to fix it would be to send this all the way across the road. We already have a bridge structure right here. I just don't see two of them being built. Okay, and again, this is that redundant power facility. I know I saw some comments asking why I would continue to connect the redundant power facility. It's mainly about natural disasters. You know, you don't want just one way of the power connecting, because if lightning were to strike it, it would go down, it would break, and then half of your city would be without power. And in our case, because our power plant is over there, the entire city would be without power. It'd be a real mess. So I'm gonna get rid of that and relocate that power to over here. There we go. And I think that's a little less imposing. I think it's a little bit better. I'm going to convert this to be a bike street, and then we need to check to make sure this actually works, because I don't know that it's going to. Yeah, this is certainly not ideal. Not ideal. So I'm going to pop on through here. We'll go into our info views and see if anyone's using this. Okay, and it's not working. So we're going to go back to the drawing board, and we're going to call a bit of a mulligan here. So we'll slow this down. And what I think we're going to do is we're going to convert this. We'll add this. We'll turn it in and have it stop right here. We'll have to loop around, kind of like we did over here. And then we will convert our bike facility to come around here. It'll be just as good as our other solution. And I think it's going to actually function. So that's a win. And as a bonus, we'll actually get a crossing here as well if we do this just right. Perfect. And that was just, again, having angle on and nothing else, controlling our distance and making it fit exactly the way that we wanted it to. So we'll convert this, and you might have noticed I'm not using any tree line streets. We're going to add all of our trees manually. This is a special location. We need to really think of it as such. So now we're going to change this. Let's see if we can reuse some of this structure that we've already put together. We have just angle on. I'm going to drop it down one. And I'm going to start on the hard side, which is the entry side. And then we're going to curve this around. Okay, and this one turned out considerably better. And I think that's just a little bit of practice with it today. A little bit more practice always makes it a little bit better. So through here, that's not perfect, but it's probably perfectly okay. I'm still, because I've spent so much time making this look as good as it does, I'm going to back this out and make it totally perfect. So road guidelines, grids, angles, and gentle curves. Oh, I love it. I love it so much. So now you could reasonably bike here. This should function, but we're just going to make sure, just for our own sanity. So I will speed this up and go into here. And already it's working. So that's what we were hoping to see. So now you could reasonably bike all the way from either side of the city and hit up the game. This will be a nice, valuable connection into this neighborhood in the future as well, which I assume that now that we have a stadium here, we're gonna have a lot of active people in the area, potentially even players that are interested in living near the stadium. So remember, this is a pro team so that the players live here as well. And now with this, I think that we need to do our very best landscaping this. So let's start thinking about the trees that we have here. Actually, one last thing. We've got these wonderful billboards. I could see there being some advertising here. So let's do it. I love that. These billboards are absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Love them, love them, love them. All right, so now I want to add in some of our landscaping. So we are just going to use our new landscaping, and we are going to go palm tree heavy. So we want this to feel absolutely tropical. Okay, so I got a little bit lost. I started to landscape everything, but you know, it can be so satisfying to just come through and plant some flowers. It can make this whole place feel like there's a purpose. And I absolutely adore it. So that's what I did. And I encourage you, get lost. Just start planting some flowers and soak it in, because the result is that your build is going to look absolutely outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. All right. So the other thing that we could do is kind of come through here and add in some landscaping in the islands here, kind of in between. It's certainly something that, you know, there's merit in doing it. I think in reality, we would certainly ensure that we are getting some landscaping through here at Landscaping Islands. And I guess I'm not getting this last one. It's not going to have it. So you might wonder, why have I gone so hard on everything here? And really the main reason, and that's going to drive me absolutely crazy. I wish that I had that palm tree. Oh. Ah. I have tried so many things to get one palm tree just to make it symmetrical, but you know what? It's fine. I will just have to let good enough be good enough. And you guys can see I'm struggling with it. I just really want it there, but it just won't listen. Anyway, the reason why I'm making this so perfect, or trying to anyway, is that the city is ultimately responsible for meeting their own plans and their own requirements. And if they don't meet their own requirements, developers come up and they go, well, why are you asking me to landscape generously? Look at this. You guys went ahead and built this parking lot and you didn't landscape anything. So I think that when a city is doing a project on its own, even though it has the ability to waive whatever requirements it has for itself, it absolutely shouldn't, because it sets a precedent. And if I were a developer and my main goal was not to make a good city, but to build whatever I'm going to do as nicely as I can within the costs that I've set up for myself, and to try to save money where I can, you better believe that landscaping is a place where I would go, well, I don't need to do that. Half the time, property will sell with landscaping and escrow, at least in the cold weather climate. So what does it matter? What does it matter that I make this look nice? You know, so there you go. The last thing I want to do over here, I saved this because I want to do our pebbles. So this is going to be a bit of a trick for me, but we're going to do it. Okay, and all of this might seem a bit extra, but let's look at the way that this feels by having a brief city tour. Oh, and at night you can really feel how special this place is. And is there a match going on? Nope, no match. But look at all the palm trees and look at the bumps. But it feels absolutely outstanding. You got multimodal transportation here. We could absolutely use some bus service in the future. But for the time being able to get here by high-speed rail, being able to bike here, it's pretty exceptional. And there's plenty of parking. You know, there's a nice little district here. I wonder how our district's doing. We should take a look at that. Okay, we almost have a focus area, but we don't have enough zoning, so that's kind of funny. We have a small little district here. I think we're going to turn on street music. Again, noise pollution here doesn't really matter. We're not going to turn any of the other policies on. I'm not overly concerned about them. And I don't really care if this levels up. I do think it's going to be interesting if we take a look at the value here. I assume that we're going to see crazy values in this area. And then as we look out this way, it's going to be terrible. Let's take a look. Yeah, you see it. Crazy land value here, none here. And if we take a look at our noise pollution, it's just crazy loud. So it is what it is. But look, we placed our hotel over here. And if we're going to have a loud district, this is the most appropriate place for that hotel. So that's one of the reasons that we placed it over here. So I'm very pleased with how this turned out, and I hope that you are as well. If you enjoyed this build, please hit the like button. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. And I cannot wait to see you in the next one. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been a privilege, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.